Good evening, everyone, out there in Facebook land. Baxter Cribs here with you once again, somewhere around 9 o'clock. And wanted to come to you once again this evening because I wanted to share with you an example of faith in action. A small example, but I talked about last night, kind of late, on how that we, in our life, we have to have faith in our life to do anything that we set out we want to do. We have to have our thoughts first, and then we have to couple that with faith, and we have to couple that with emotions so that that thought becomes an emotional magnet, or a magnetic force, if you will, to attract those things from out there that we want in our life or that we have set out to do. And talked about some examples from the scriptures and so forth of how we define faith, and that is that they saw. Talked about Abraham and Isaac and those people named off, how they saw way out here something that they wanted. And it was presented to them, of course, by their leader at that point. So they were persuaded they could get there. They embraced that, and then they decided, okay, and then they took action to go and do that. And basically that's what faith is. And without faith, I wanted to put this into here. I couldn't remember where it was last night, but today I did. That even in the same book of Hebrews, in end of chapter 3 and going into chapter 4, that there the writer talks about how the people of old who came out of Egypt and they wandered for 40 years in the wilderness, and they did that because they understood the instructions of God, but they did not mix that with faith. They didn't see that they could go and do these things, and so therefore they did not enter in. Now that's an example from there of how not having faith is going to keep you away from things that you want to achieve, because as I said, we have to have faith in our life in everything we do. Here's a little small example that happened today. I'm not going to give any names, but in my day work, I was running what we call the yard, the lumber yard, where you pull orders, you load lumbers, and you get things, and you get it to the customer as quick as you can, and in good condition, and that kind of thing. And sometimes we travel many miles in a local area. You load it up and make a circle. So I have a new driver that been with us a couple of weeks now. I'm thinking that's all. But right before he went to leave, he wanted to know if he could get off to go and take care of some issues that was going on with his hands. And so I asked him, I said, now, are you trying to tell me, he wanted to get off at a certain time. And I said, are you trying to tell me that you cannot make this run for me? Oh, no. I said, so you're telling me that if you get back in time that you want to, hey, Dr. Bob, that if you get back here in time that you can then get off, and that's what you're asking me. And he said, yes. So I told him, sure. If you get back in time, you can get off and go take care of your hands. Now, some of us say, well, that's kind of mean. This guy's got his hands all broken out, and how people's hands dry up from different things that are going on, and they have the cracks. I mean, it really looked painful, and I felt sorry for him right away, because I knew exactly what he was going through, but a little worse condition. And so anyway, I said, can you do this? Yes, sir, I can do this. I mean, he was excited about it, and he really believed he could do this, and he's new at this operation, new at the land and everything. So I took and got him a map, drawed it out. He wanted to be back and be off by 2 o'clock. He was traveling 130 to 150 miles with about 5 stops on that truck. And I'm not sure the miles, but it was a good journey. He had to make a big circle and come back. And he needed to be off at 2 o'clock. I said, well, go. And so he was happy about that, got in his truck and took off, and he did not make it back by 2 o'clock. But he came back. He got back at 2:23, and he was one happy fellow. He was right. Man, I was getting it out there. He was excited that he set out to do this thing, and he actually done it. Now, was it exactly the time that he wanted? No, but it was so close that it was exciting for him, that his belief that he could do that he done it. And that's what we have to have with our faith, is that we as we decide we're going to go and do something in whatever field it is, believe you can do it. Look out there and be persuaded that you can get there. Others have done that. You can do this. And then embrace that fact and go take action and do it. Now, this brings me to a couple other points here, and I'm going to kind of let it go this evening, is that in his case, and you hear others say this, Ray Higdon said this here, this is one of the things that push us in a vision, okay? And that is, and I used the word right then to kind of give it away, not deliberately, but I did, is that he said, let the pain push you until the pleasure pulls you. And this man's hands was hurting. They were cracking and drying, and he was going to get to a doctor, and they was going to give him something, and he let that pain push him to get that goal he wanted, which was to get to that doctor's office on time and get that medication. Now, and then he was happy, so now when he came back, I was excited for him as well, because I thought, okay, now he's catching on. He sees he can do it. He's becoming more confident because he didn't know the area, and I just drawed him a map and let him go, so he followed that. He was excited about that. And when he came back, I told him, good job. You did good, because I know that now he believes he can. And I told him, I said, now, because we were loaded with orders, and I said, now be here Monday morning at 6 o'clock. Yes, sir. I mean, well, he was just, the enthusiasm was just boiling out of him because he had accomplished that. And that's what we need in our life when we set out to do a goal, is to have that kind of faith, that kind of belief that we can do that. Two other things. I've been reading the book by Brandon Burchard. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. And it's a manifesto of motivation, or motivation manifesto. I forget which way it goes. And just so happened that I was listening to some lost recordings from Ray Higdon, and guess what he talked about? The very same book. And so in those two things, one of the things that he said stops us, and there's two items that are a main thing. One is social oppression, and two is self-oppression. And social oppression is that our co-workers beat you up because you do a good job, because you want to advance. We have to get beyond that. And I made that very simple, but I think you know what I'm talking about. There are places that people will really rev you because, oh, you've got the brown nose going on, you're kissing the boss's butt, and all those things that the words will beat you up. It will oppress you till you quit. Don't let that happen. Second thing was, as I said, it was self-oppression. Many times we think, I'm not worthy of this. Who will listen to me? Who will do this here? I can't do that. And you're pushing yourself down. Those are two things that we have to get past. And you can do that by starting out with faith in yourself, seeing there are others who have done it. That means it can be done. All of us have this ability in us to follow that. Look at what they've done, put it to work, and become great in yourself. Another thing that he says, we are born, I don't know if I can get this exactly right, but we are born with a lion's heart, or we are born into a world with a lion's heart, but we live in a rat's world. And, I'm not sure if that's the right terminology, but we have this ability to be so big and bold, like a lion that roars out there and takes over this jungle. But yet we let self-oppression and social oppression and the lack of faith keep us down to being this little bitty mouse that crawls around a hole and hides. We need to get past that, my friends. You need to get past that and make your world a better world. Make yourself a better person. I hope you found value in this short little video this evening in this Facebook Live. If you have, please share it with those you might find it is useful for. Leave a comment below and just let me know that it was good for you, and share it, as I said, with other people out there as well. If you'd like to, also stop by my blog at baxtercribs.com. A little bit of stuff going over there that might be useful as well. Thank you, my friends, and you have a great Friday night, and get up ready for tomorrow to take off on a brand new day. See you.